Good afternoon. In the last class, we discussed about the village system of Mahajanapadas, and it is the part of the political structure, the main topic, the political structure of Mahajanapadas. Okay, today we are going to discuss about the administrative system of Mahajanapada period. Uh, when we talk about the administrative system, the king, who was primarily a warlord and who led his kingdom from victory to victory, actually. So, the king who was not ruled with alone, but with the aid of officials, both the high and low, and the higher officials of this category are Mahamatras, and performed a variety of functions such as those of minister, Mandrin, and commander, that is Sena Nayaka, judge, chief accountant, and head of the royal harem. So these are the major officials who help king for the administrative purposes. And in this, ministers who played an important role in the administration. In this, the most mentioning ministers are Varsakhara of Magadha and Dirghacharanya of Kosala, who were the most influential ministers of that period. And not only that, the higher officers and the ministers, they were recruited from Brahmana priest community. So the Brahmanas who give more importance during the time of the selection or the recruitment of the higher officers and the ministers. So administrative system for the administrative administration process, the king is always helped with the Brahmana priest. And this system, it does not general seem to have belonged to the clan of the king, but it is substantially undermined by the kin based polity of the Vedic times. Okay. In both the Kosla and Magadha, these are the influential Mahajanapadas during this period, and they use, despite the use of punch marked coins, but they give clusters of villages as a grant of revenue to the influential Brahmanas and Sethis. So, in spite of punch marked coins as their grant, they give clusters of village for the grant of revenue. So, in doing so, the king did not have to obtain the consent of the clan, as was the case in the later times, but the beneficiaries were granted only the revenue and not any administrative authority. So, in the later Vedic period, the clans, they give consent for the king for his purposes, but here they granted only the revenue. For the Brahmana priest and Sethis, they give the revenue, but they were not help in the any other administrative authority. And when in the rural administration, it was in the hands of the village headman, and initially the headmen functioned as the leaders of the tribal regiments, and therefore they called Gramani. So village headman is known as Gramani, which means the leader of Grama or the tribal military unit. And the Gramani was therefore transformed into village headman in the pre-Mauryan period. And they have the titles like Grama Bochaga, Gramini, or Gramika. So these are the major titles or the administration in the rural area. And this village headman who also assessed the collecting taxes from the villagers and also maintained the law and order in their locality. So the village headman is the administrative ruler in the village and or the rural system. Okay, this is the what administrative system, both the rural and the urban areas. The next is the army and taxation system. And we know that in the earlier Vedic period there is no such kind of standing army prevailed in the society, whereas by the forming of Janapadas, then to Mahajanapadas, the standing army became a regular thing, and it is indicating the power of the state power itself. So the formation of large professional army, it became an indicator for the power of a state. And during the time of Alexander's invasion, the Nanda ruler of Magadha, who maintained 20,000 cavalry men and 200,000 infantry and 2,000 four horse chariots and 6,000 elephants. So these are the strength of army during the period of Nanda ruler. And the large long service army had to be fed by the state exchequer. So these the expenses that meet from the state exchequer, and the state meet this large long service army. And this is the standing army. There is a regular standing army there, and it is an indicator for the formation of a large professional army that become an indicator to the power of the state, and the expenses of the army which meet by the state itself. And the next we discuss about the taxation system. During the period of Magadhan and Magadhan Empire, the physical system that was well established this time, that is the monetary policies, was well established during this period. The warriors and priests, that is warriors who are the Kshatriyas and the priest who belongs to the Brahmanas, they were exempted from the payment of taxes, and the burden fell on the peasants who were mainly Vaishyas and Grihapadis. So the payment of tax that was done by the peasants who were mainly Vaishyas and Grihapadis, and the tax exemption is given to the Kshatriyas and the Brahmanas. And Bali, that is a voluntary payment that made by the tribesmen of their chiefs in Vedic times, and became a compulsory payment to be made by the peasants in the age of Buddha. And this Bali, that is the voluntary tax that was collected by the officers like Bali Satakas, who were appointed to collect it. And the 1/6 of the produce that is given by the share or the collecting share of the tax from the peasants by the king, and the taxes and that is assessed and collected by the royal agents with the help of village headmen. it was with the help of village headmen. We know that in the rural administration, the village headman who was collecting the taxes from the rural areas. So, by the assistance of this village headman, the royal agents who collected the taxes, and it is it is why there is an help of village headman for the collecting the taxes. It is because of the peasants and vaishyas, grihapadis, they are all belongs to the rural area. So it was the help of the village headman, they collecting the taxes. Okay, and the artisans and the traders, they were also pay the taxes to the king. That is, artisans were made to work for a day in a month for the king. So a day work of the day is contributed to the king, and the traders had to pay customs on the sale of their commodities, and the traders who pay their customs on the sale of their commodities, and the tolls also collected by the officers known as Sholkiga or Shulkiga or Shulka Adhyaksha. Sulka, that is the tax, toll tax, Sulka, that is Sulka Adhyaksha or Sulkiga, who collecting the tolls. And during this period, the territorial kings who discarded the Sabha and Samiti, okay, and that is the popular tribal assemblies that from Vedic and later Vedic period, and their place was taken by Varna and caste groups in this assemblies. It is taken by the Varna and caste group. Therefore, caste laws and customs were given due weight by the writers of the law books. So, what are the caste laws and customs that is given in the law books itself? So, popular assemblies were able to succeed only in small kingdoms where members of the tribe could easily be summoned. And with the emergence of larger states like Kosala and Magadha, it was not possible to hold the large assemblies. So, only the small body like Parishit, who exclusively by the Brahmins who were attended in the assemblies. So, Parishit is the assembly that is a small body which consisting of Brahmanas in the meeting. So Sabha and Samadhi was discarded, and the Parishit. Why? Because it is not the small body; it is a larger body, a body of people, administration system. So the Parishad, it is an exclusively for the Brahmanas who were attending this meeting. Okay, this is the army and the taxation system, and also the assembly of this period. The next is the Republican experiment. This Republican system, that is mainly we can see in the eastern UP and Bihar region, that is the mid-Gangetic valleys. And both the Panini and Pali text speak of non-monarchical states, and they also describing that the Janapada or territorial state was generally headed by an Ek Raja or one king. And he specifies the 1991 king Janapadas, but he also speaks about the multi-ruler Janapadas, which were republics. So he also describing Ek Raja, that is one king, and also says that there is multi-ruler Janapadas were existing during this period. And these republics, this Mahajanapadas period, the republics, real power lay in the hands of the tribal oligarchies. These republics, which was owned by, or which is in the hands of tribal oligarchies. The oligarchy means a small group of people who administering, or who maintaining the power. Okay. So these kind of republics we can see in Shakyas and Lichavis, who belongs to the same clan and same Varna. Okay. So these tribal oligarchies we can see in the Mahajanapada or Mahajanapada period. And in post-Mauryan times, the republics of the Malavas, Shudragas, Kshatriyas and the Brahmanas were given the citizenship, but the slaves and hired laborers were excluded from this kind of republics. So the oligarchy system in republic, the oligarchy system, tribal oligarchy system is prevailed during this period. The administrative machinery of the Shakyas and Lichavis was simple. This Shakyas and Lichavis, they also belong to the oligarchy republics. And in this, they consist of Raja, Ubaraja, Senapati, Bhandagariga. These all hierarchical order of officers are maintaining the administrative system. And so in a republic like Shakyas and Lichavis, they also consisting of the Rajas, Ubarajas, Senapati and Bhandagariga. Bhandagariga means treasurer. Senapati, we know that it is a military commander, and Ubaraja, vice king, and Raja, the king. And there is some differences between the republics and monarchies. Now we are discussing about the differences between the republics and monarchies. In the monarchies, it is the king that is who was the sole recipient of revenue from the peasant. Also, he is the only king, and he also authority for the revenue, for collecting the revenue from the peasants and all. But in the republic, it was advanced by every tribal oligarch who was known as Raja. So in republic, all the oligarchs, all the tribal oligarchs, all the small group of administrative people were known as Raja. So in for example, in Lichavi Rajas, there are 7,707 who were maintaining the administration apparatus. So we know that the Shakyas and Lichavis are the famous republics during this period, and the republics which consist of 7,707 kings or rajas who maintaining the administrative system. And every monarchy in the monarchical system, there is a standing army in this, and it did not permit any group of people to carry arms within its boundary. So there is only one regular standing army in monarchy. Whereas in republics, that is the tribal oligarchy, which have each Raja was maintaining his own little army under his Senapati, enabling each of them to compete with each other. So each oligarch or each Raja has its own army, and with his own under his Senapati. So this is the differences between the monarchy and the oligarchy or the republics. And the Brahmanas exercised the great influence in a monarchy, but they had no place in the early republics. So the Brahmanas who were more influenced in the monarchical system, because in earlier republics we cannot see the influences of Brahmanas. So during the time of the monarchical system, the Brahmanas emerged with their power. And so the major differences between the monarchy and a republic was that it is between the different it is between the one man rule and many men rule. One man rule is the monarchy, and many men rule is the oligarchy or the republic. And the republic functioned under the leadership of oligarchic assemblies, but the monarchy under the leadership of an individual. So oligarchic assemblies is supporting the republic, the functioning of the republics, and the monarchies, it was under the leadership of a king, that is an individual. And this kind of republic tradition become less important from the time of Mauryan period. And Mauryan period, so after the Mauryan from the Mauryan period onwards, there is only monarchical system is existing, mainly existing in ancient India. So this is the republican system in the Mahajanapadas. And the next is the social orders and the legislation. We know that there is a clear division with the four orders of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. And the Dharma Sutras who gives the duties of each of the four varnas, and the civil and criminal laws that came to be based on the varna division. And we know that the higher varna is the pure one, and they have the higher level of moral of conduct and all. And all the forms of disabilities like criminal ways and their impurity, all are imposed to the Shudras, and they were deprived of religious and legal rights, and they are in the lowest position in the society. That all we know that. And during the time of Jainism and Buddhism, that is the new religious system that was evolved during this period, they also did not make any material change in the Shudras position. So these are the major division in the social order, and the legislation is also based on this social order. So these are the major state political structure during the period of Mahajanapadas. And these are the second urbanization we discussed. Then what is about the urban economy, rural economy, then the administrative system during the period of Mahajanapadas, and army and taxation system, then the republican experiment, and social orders and legislation. So read well this chapter 17 and prepare note on it. Thank you.